What's up, YouTube world? It's your boy Jerome, and I'm here today with a review for Greenleaf Season 3, Episode 8. And this episode was titled can't pronounce it. We're gonna move forward with that because it looks like it's now kind of Latin, and I don't know what that says. But like I said, we're gonna move forward with it. Alright, so this episode, it picks back up where last week's episode left off with Zora's badass. Excuse me for cussing, but it picked up with Zora leaving. So, May and Zora are walking down to the gate, and, Zora's asking the gatekeeper to open the gate and all that kind of stuff. And May is like, do not open that gate. And, Zora, excuse me, Zora's like, I'm 18 years old, so I can leave. And she's, so she's like, open the gate. May is like, do not open that gate. And, Zora's like, I will climb over that gate since I feel like I'm in jail. And, May's just trying to talk her out of it and all that kind of stuff. And, when May is talking to Zora, up pulls Carissa and Jacob. So, May is upset because she thinks that, they are coming to get her. And, like I said, May was upset. And she's like, you guys didn't even have a conversation with me. And Jacob's like, Mama, we just came to this decision last night and all that kind of stuff. But little do they know, Zora is not leaving with Carissa or Jacob. She's actually gonna leave with that dumbass, batter up, El DeBarge looking ass motherfucker. Damn it, I'm trying not to cuss in this video. But yeah, she leaves with that El DeBarge looking nigga. And when he pulled up, so Isaiah had the bright idea to hop out the car and get in Jacob's face with the camera, talking about what you gonna do now, fat ass. I would have said, you know what, fat ass is about to whip your ass with this camera in my face. And my thing is with Carissa. Carissa wanted to sit there and reason with Zora and all that kind of stuff. Like, I get it, she's 18 years old, but 18 does not mean that you're grown. It just means that you are of legal age. Your brain is not developed enough to really think like an adult and all that kind of stuff. And then, they all down there, at the gate arguing, trying to get her to listen to reason. And I'm like, you're not gonna get this little stubborn mule to listen to anything with reason. Like, how do you sit there and leave with a dude who is abusive as hell to you? Like, that's crazy to me. And then, you get Charity coming down there to leave and all that kind of stuff. And she's like, is that Isaiah? And I'm like, Charity, what is your half drunk, half sleepy ass gonna do to this boy and all that kind of stuff? And like I said, I just think Carissa is too soft on Zora, because when she was trying to reason with Zora, she gave Zora her phone. And I'm like, and Zora was like, well, so you can keep tabs on me? Like, little girl, you need somebody to keep tabs on you. Like, what the hell you gonna do? You don't have a phone. What you gonna do if he gets you a phone and then he hits you? He not gonna want you to call the police, call your mama, call your daddy, call your grandma, call nobody. So take your mama's phone. So, Carissa did finally get her to take her phone, and she put it in the cup holder. I'm like, you little dumb fool. Like, he gonna take that phone and throw it out. And lo and behold, he took the phone and he threw it right out the window. And I'm like, see? I knew it was gonna happen. All right, so then back up at the house, we got Carissa. She was on the phone. She's talking to Isaiah's family, trying to see if Isaiah and Zora has come home. But they talking about how they haven't seen him and all that kind of stuff, and he's packed his stuff up and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, and I understand where Carissa's coming from. She's afraid that something's gonna happen to her baby because, like I said, he's abusive to her. He's hitting her. Like, when it comes to abusive situations, there are so many different outcomes that can come from an abusive situation, and not one of them is good. The abuser can come up dead. The abuser can come up dead. The abusee can come up dead. It's so many factors that can happen in an abusive relationship, and I just don't see. Zora just can't listen to reason at this point. Like, what's so good about a man that has put his hands on you repeatedly? Like, you can't tell me what's so good about that, because I just can't see it. So, Carissa, when she hangs up the phone with them because they said they haven't saw them, Carissa's like, what? I'm going to take your phone, Jacob, and I'm going to go over to his parents' house and all that kind of stuff. And Jacob's like, okay, well, I'm coming with you. And Carissa's like, absolutely not. You're not coming with me, because they still haven't gone over the last time, we were over there when you, from the whole thing where Jacob punched the shit out of, I'm trying not to cuss, from the whole situation when Jacob punched Isaiah in his face. Now, my thing with Carissa is, I don't see how you can sit here and blame Jacob. Like, I just did not understand that, because, that's his daughter, and you got a man, I'm not even calling him a man. I'm gonna call him a little boy putting his hands on his daughter. Like Jacob I know he had every right to hit him. Was it right for Jacob to hit him? No, because he's a kid. But you know, my thing is, Isaiah think he's strong enough and big enough to hit a girl. Why don't you do that same stuff to a man? Like fight with a man instead of a girl who cannot defend, who's not going to defend herself, and who you're stronger than. Fight somebody, 10 times your size and see how that feels, to get tossed around, slapped around, punched around, and all that kind of stuff. And then, May tried to interject in the conversation that not Zora, but I say Zora's mama. Shout out to his rocks for that one. But May got into the conversation between Carissa and Jacob, and then Carissa took a low blow to May, talking about she's not gonna let her daughter end up like Faith and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, here is the second time that you mentioned Faith. Like, you don't know what May did with her daughter, but yet instead you're gonna sit here and try to say you're not gonna let your daughter end up like Faith. All right, so May took Carissa to Isaiah's parents' house, and I thought that when Carissa was talking about going to his parents' house, I thought Carissa was gonna get out the car and go into the house and wait, but no, Carissa and May are actually sitting outside in the car. And May is like, what? Let me go into this house and let me give these people a piece of my mind and all that kind of stuff. What kind of people let is okay with their son hitting a girl and all that kind of stuff. And Carissa's like, no, I don't need you to do that, May. Like, that's gonna make matters worse and all that kind of stuff. And when she's sitting there talking to May, she did apologize to May for making the comments about Faith, and because May said, you don't know what I went through with my daughter and all that kind of stuff. And that's exactly how I feel. Like, you don't know the lengths that May went to get her daughter back. Faith was probably so far gone by the time that May even realized anything was wrong with Faith, that Faith killed herself. So you don't know the routes that May took. And May and Carissa's situations are different. Mac was raping Faith, and Isaiah is hitting Zora. So two different situations. They're both horrible situations to be in, but they're both completely different. Whereas with Faith, she was being raped and molested by her uncle, which she didn't feel like she could tell anybody, and when she did tell people, they didn't believe her. Whereas you have Zora, who is completely oblivious to what's going on in her life and stupid and blinded by teenage love, that she's getting hit and she's sitting there taking it and all that kind of stuff. So it's completely different situations. Like I said, both are completely jacked up situations, but they're both different. All right, so while May and Carissa are sitting outside of Isaiah's parents' house, they did pull up to the house. So, Carissa gets out the car. Actually, May wanted to get out the car with Carissa this time as well, but Carissa's like, nope, let me go handle it. So when Isaiah goes into the house, Carissa gets out the car, and Carissa goes up to the car to talk to Zora. And, basically, so when Carissa walked up to the car, Zora still had that stank attitude about her, and she was telling her, go away, Mom. I don't want him to come back and see you. Like, what? You don't want him to see her? Like, so you know that if he sees your mama there, he might pop you. Like, Zora is really ridiculously stupid when it comes to Isaiah. Like, I don't get it. Like, what is it? Tell me. So then Carissa is talking to Zora about the day she gave birth to, like how she didn't know what to do, how to be a mother and all that kind of stuff. But when she looked into Zora's eyes and Zora was looking at her, she knew what she wanted for Zora and all that kind of stuff. And Carissa apologizes to her because of the expectations that she set for Zora. I think she might have said from her perspective, she might have set too high of expectations for Zora and all that kind of stuff. And then Carissa asks Zora, well, where is she going and all that kind of stuff? And Zora says none of her business. And I'm like, little girl, that's still your mama. Like I keep repeating the same thing. He is abusing you. Like, why don't you want somebody to know where you're going with an abusive person? Like I said, worst case scenario, you could end up hurt, dead, or anything, or he can end up dead. Like, there are so many bad outcomes that could happen from an abusive relationship. You need to let somebody know where you're going. Like I said, I get it. She's 18. She thinks she's grown, but you are not grown. at all. Your brain is still very much in a child's spot, so it takes time for your brain to develop into an adult. Just because you are 18 does not mean you're an adult. It just means that you're of legal age to make decisions. And sometimes I'm not gonna say sometimes, because hell, at 18, I made some of the dumbest decisions that I could have made. But looking back on them, 11 years later, I look at them and I'm like, you know what? Glad I made those decisions, because they teach you the decisions that you make when you think that you're grown, and then when you actually grow up and look back on those decisions that you made, you'd be like, damn, I wish I knew better. I wish I knew then what I know now. So, this is just going to be a hard lesson that Zora does have to learn, but I would hate for her to learn this lesson of abuse at no woman should go through abuse at any point. No woman or man should go through abuse, put it that way. But, she just stupid as crap. And then, Carissa basically tells Zora that, what, this is the last time that I'm gonna try to reason with you and get you to come home, and I'm gonna leave it up to God at this point. And this little dumb girl says, well, I'll take my chances. So you're gonna take your chances between life and death, because that's really what you're playing with, is life and death when it comes to this abusive this little boy that's abusing you. That's literally what you're doing, is taking a risk between life and death. All right, then we got Bishop. So he is waking up at Percy's. Actually, he didn't really sleep at Percy's and all that kind of stuff. And, since Percy notices that Bishop hadn't slept all night and all that kind of stuff, he's asking him if he's having second thoughts about moving out with May and all that kind of stuff. And Bishop is like, he's not having any kind of second thoughts and all that kind of stuff. And then Percy goes down the line of his 3 wives that he had, and it actually was his 3rd wife that he really started to have the second thoughts and all that kind of stuff. I'm actually going to tie this into the last scene of the episode. And, once again, Bishop is outside and he didn't sleep again at night and all that kind of stuff. And once again, Percy's like, for a man that's not having second thoughts and all that kind of stuff, you really aren't sleeping that well and all that kind of stuff. And then, Percy talks about the types of people. You got the people that have hindsight, the ones who get hit by a car, but then after they get hit, they get the license plate information, all that kind of stuff. And then you got the people with forethought and all that kind of stuff. And then you also have those people who have neither one of the two. And he's like, at least you got one of them. Which one of them Bishop has, we don't know. And I do think that Bishop is starting to have second thoughts about the things that's going on between he and May. He's just not at the point where he wants to say it. But I do believe Bishop is having second thoughts. All right, so then we have Grace. She is leaving the jailhouse with Cora Lee. She's posted Cora Lee's bond and all that kind of stuff. And as they're leaving the jailhouse, there are reporters outside of the jailhouse, and they're questioning Cora Lee about, her kids and all that kind of stuff. And, she hasn't saw her kids, so that's one thing that she says. So once they get outside of the jail, they go up to Grace's car, and there's Richard Rochelle there. And, Cora Lee is like, well, who is this? And Grace is like, well, this is the woman behind your legal defense fund. She's the one that raised the money for you to get your get bailed out and all that kind of stuff. And, they get in the car and they leave to go to Cora Lee's home. So then, they take Cora Lee home, and, Grace is asking Cora Lee if she wants him to stay with her. And she's like, I'm good and all that kind of stuff. So then you got Richard Rochelle, she's talking about all the things they're going to be able to do for Cora Lee and all that kind of stuff. And, making her promises and all that kind of stuff. And then, Cora Lee's talking about she hasn't talked to her kids and all that kind of stuff. And she wants to talk to her kids. And then Richard Rochelle's like, well, I know somebody at CPS who may be able to help you talk to your kids and all that kind of stuff. Because basically her lawyer, Cora Lee told her lawyer that she wanted to talk to her kids, but her lawyer never tried to, get it to happen, all that kind of stuff. And then Grace is like, well, who do you know in CPS and all that kind of stuff? But Richard Rochelle does not answer that question. All right, so then Grace and Richard Rochelle, they are back at Calvary. So in Grace's office, there's that DA that Grace met last week, the one I'm talking about, the case with Mac and all that kind of stuff. So, he's in Grace's office and he's talking to Grace, and basically he's like, oh, so you're going to sit there and just take this case anyways, even after I warned you about not taking this case and all that kind of stuff. And, he's talking about how he talked to Cora Lee's attorney and all that kind of stuff. And he says that, if Grace does continue to pursue this case and all that kind of stuff, that, he can charge her with, capital, was it capital murder or some kind of type, I forgot what murder it was, but he can charge her with murder, and, she'd be tried for that and all that kind of stuff, because he then mentions everything that happened between her and Mac. How she forced herself into his house looking for Sophia and all that kind of stuff. So basically what it is he wants Grace to talk Coralie into taking this deal, and basically the deal is she pleads guilty and she gets 20 years in prison and all that kind of stuff. And I think that is fucked up, because it's actually blackmail, if we are being honest, because you didn't charge her with any kind of, you didn't charge her, and Grace was, at the same time, Grace was like, it was self-defense. And then he's like, you just gonna keep it up with these women, trying these cases, going with cases, because obviously he doesn't believe in the Me Too movement and all that kind of stuff. So he's like, trying to blackmail, scare tactic, all that kind of stuff when it comes to Grace, and I really was not here for that. So then we have another scene where Grace is with Coralie, and Coralie is with her lawyer, and her lawyer is also telling her about this deal. So it's 20 years in prison, and she's like, is there any chance of parole and all that kind of stuff? He says, yeah, in 15 years. And Coralie is just sitting there looking like, wait, what? 15 years? So that's, so she would have to serve, so it would be 5 years taken off of the sentence, but that's still ridiculous. And then Grace is like, but she doesn't remember doing this and all that kind of stuff. And, she's talking about there are cases out there with that and all that kind of stuff. And then, Grace is advocating for Coralie, not take the deal, and, let her, if you're a good lawyer to her, let her sit here and think about this deal before she actually says, hey, I'm guilty and all that kind of stuff. And then, and she's like, if you're too busy to even, let her think about it, you need to pass this case off to somebody else and all that kind of stuff. So then we have Richard Rochelle once the lawyer leaves. That Richard Rochelle comes in, and, she tells Coralie that she will have a meeting today with her, tomorrow with her kids. And Grace is still just sitting there looking at her like, who do you have in CPS? So like I said, Grace is still, sitting there thinking to herself, like, who do Richard Rochelle know that's in CPS? So she did ask her once again, who do you know that's in CPS and all that kind of stuff? And Richard Rochelle's like, you still don't trust me? Girl, no, nobody trusts you. Like, you flew in out the sky pretty much, and you want to help everybody in the family. Like, I mean, the timing is crazy if we have to be honest. So, she says that she was a part of the Big Sisters program and all that kind of stuff, and how she had 3 girls who looked up to her. I said, I pray for those girls. I hope they are not as evil and vindictive as she is. And, this is as they're watching Coralie with her kids and all that kind of stuff. And she says that she's like Grace, and I'm like, girl, where? And, she says that she won't stop and fight until, like the oppressor holding down the oppressee. And she won't stop until they are on the same level and all that kind of stuff. And Grace is like, that sounds like a little bit of revenge to me. And then, Richard Rochelle's gonna bring up, well, the DA might have been right about you and all that kind of stuff. She said, I see it as justice and all that kind of stuff. And then, once Coralie stops, her visit ends with her kids, she comes out and talks to Grace, and she tells Grace, I can't go to prison. So I guess we have a fight on our hands between Grace and this DA. All right, so next we have Charity. Percy, actually, sorry. He's preparing for a service and all that kind of stuff. And then, Charity shows up saying, it was drama at the house and all that kind of stuff. And, Bishop is like, wait, what kind of drama was happening at the house and all that kind of stuff? And, she was like, oh, she didn't ever tell him. But then you got this scene where he calls up Lady May and all that kind of stuff. And, basically when he talked to Lady May, May was telling him that, she and Carissa, the mothers, have everything taken care of and all that kind of stuff, that they're going over to Isaiah's parents' house and all that kind of stuff. And then we got this scene where Charity, the funeral that Percy was holding, we see Charity, she's out there with the family, and she's actually being, comforting, consoling, and, she's just giving them all kind of good words of wisdom and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, this is a good side of Charity. She's not, annoying, getting on anybody's nerves and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I actually really like this side of Charity a whole lot. Like, I was actually happy just to see a different side of Charity this episode. All right, and then we have Charity. She's about to leave to go home for the day, and then Percy stops her and all that kind of stuff, and he wants to pay her for, the services that she did. And, he basically tells Charity that she has a gift for comforting people through their grief and all that kind of stuff, which I actually did see. Looking at that, I'm like, this is a different side of Charity. This is something, for the longest time, Charity wanted to preach and all that kind of stuff, and her daddy told her that was not for her. Which I agree with him. Preaching was not for Charity. But this might be Charity's calling. Aside from singing, helping these people through their grief process, it looks like it's a good thing for Charity. It's helping her as well as it's helping the families and all that kind of stuff. So then Percy offers her a job and all that kind of stuff. And basically she's like, I don't feel like I'm strong enough yet for this job that you're trying to offer me. And Percy is like, what, I think you are. And actually, I agree with Percy. I think Charity is actually strong enough to do this because, like I said, watching her with that woman who was crying about her loved one dying, Charity didn't crack, she didn't break, she didn't do anything. She stayed calm and she kept the woman calm. So that might, like I said, that might be Charity's calling. Surprise, surprise. All right, and then we got Cheap, Dirty Blonde Skank. So she's in her office and, she's texting Jacob and all that kind of stuff. And as she's texting Jacob, Jacob walks into the office with her. And, she was talking about how she was just wondering if he was mad at her and all that kind of stuff. And he was like, no, I wasn't mad at you. It was actually the whole Zora thing. And she's like, what happened with Zora? He's like, Zora left. She's like, left where? He's like, she left with Isaiah because she's 18 and all that kind of stuff. And then he's talking about the kiss that happened with them, how it was a mistake and it can't happen again and all that kind of stuff. And, she says that nothing ever works out for her, her marriage with Basie, which, what? I mean, I'm confused. Is she still married to Basie? Like, is she still married to Basie? Is her and Basie going through a divorce? What is going on with her and Basie? Like, she never talks about her relationship with Basie, so I'm really confused about that. And, she tells Jacob that she likes him and all that kind of stuff. And when she's talking about likes him, she likes him. So, and, she starts crying and all that kind of stuff. And then Bishop walks into the office to talk to Jacob about Zora. And, like I said, she was upset and Bishop was like, did I interrupt something? And Jacob was like, no, you didn't interrupt something. She lost a friend and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, Bishop, you don't see what's going on here? It's the same situation that Jacob was in season 1 with the white girl. But, so Bishop leaves and Jacob follows in behind Bishop, leaving Cheap, Dirty Blonde Skank in her office to cry and all that kind of stuff. So then later on in the episode, Jacob goes back to talk to Cheap, Dirty Blonde Skank and all that kind of stuff. And at this time, he wants to apologize to her because he was wrong for what he did. Talking about, he's her boss and all that kind of stuff. And basically, he says that everything was about Zora and all that kind of stuff. And then, Cheap, Dirty Blonde Skank is getting ready to leave and all that kind of stuff because she's actually quitting working for Jacob and all that kind of stuff. And the reason why she can't work for Jacob is because she, like I said, she likes Jacob. And, Jacob is married and whatever her relationship is with Basie, it would get messy very fast, which is already messy now. All right. So then, Bishop and Jacob go to his office and they talk. So basically, Bishop wants Jacob to call his friend that's in the law enforcement and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know what Bishop wanted Jacob to do because, once again, Zora is 18, so Zora is an adult and she can do whatever she wants to. So that would be a waste of time calling in resources and all that kind of stuff. Now, if Isaiah is hitting her or doing anything like that to her, then yes, Jacob could call in his favors and all that kind of stuff from his friends. But just because a little dumb girl left with the boy, like, there's nothing that can be done. Like I said, she's a grown, in her brain, she's a grown adult, even though we know she's not. So, then Bishop is talking about how the women, Jacob said how the women wanted to handle this and for them to stay out of it and all that kind of stuff. And, how basically he just has a lot on his plate. The Zora situation and the situation with Cheap, Dirty Blonde Skank and all that kind of stuff. And, Bishop tells Jacob, Carissa was not wrong to send you away and all that kind of stuff because your temper is not good for anybody, including yourself. And, despite what's going on between me and your mama, I'm still your daddy. And I'm like, Bishop, you still his daddy, but the whole situation between you and May is so ugly right now that, you know, they basically are kind of forced to pick sides, I guess you would say. But, you know, I get it, Bishop. Everybody want what's best for Zora. But, you know, you gotta, when it comes to people like Zora who think that they're grown, you have to let them go out and make the bad decisions themselves. And, you know, just hopefully, she, like I said about me, hopefully Zora learns from this mistake before it, you know, is detrimental to her life, you know, before anything bad can happen. Hopefully she learns the lesson before it's too late, you know, to make a change to it at all. So that's my hope for Zora. All right, so then we got Sophia. You know, she's at home, and was that Marisol? One of the housekeepers bring her a package. She opens the package up, and it's a little flip book, and you know, it got pictures of her and Roberto in it, which I thought was cute. And then at the end of the book, it says "I miss you" and all that kind of stuff. So then later in the episode, Grace comes home and she's in her dark room and all that kind of stuff, and Sophia goes in there where Grace is, and you know, Sophia basically tells Grace that she doesn't want to go to Rhodes anymore, and Grace is like, "Well, you're going to college and all that kind of stuff." And then, you know, she says, well, Sophia's not going to college and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, not Sophia, but Zora's not going to college. I'm like, Sophia, you do not want to be like your dumbass cousin Zora. That is an idiot, a fool, all kind of stuff. So, yeah, don't be like your cousin. Like, you might, I get it that you don't want to go to a Christian school, but at least go to school. Do not be as idiotic and stupid as your cousin is. Like, that girl is stupid as the SHIT. Like, like, I just want somebody just to grab Zora and just shake her until she gets some sense in her head. Like, she's doing some stupid crap. All right, so then we get to the scene where Bishop, he is at the house and he's at the gate and he's trying to get in. But he can't get in because May changed the passcode to the gate. So then the gatekeeper comes out and, you know, he's like, what's going on with the gate and all that kind of stuff. And then we see the gatekeeper, he calls somebody, and I'm assuming that it's May. So I was correct, it was May. Because Bishop is in the house, he's going off on May and all that kind of stuff, talking about, you know, you changed the passcode to the gate and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, Bishop, what did you expect? She put you out the house. You think she's going to sit here and leave the code the same to the gate and all that kind of stuff? And, you know, May is like, you know what, Bishop, you just upset because we didn't include you in when it came to Zora and all that kind of stuff. And, yeah, not being consulted about Zora. And May said, you know, if he was patient and waited while she found the strength to take him back, that they could have been there with each other together through this thing, whole thing side by side and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, May, she does take some of the blame herself. She's like, you know what, I'm partly to blame and all that kind of stuff. And I'm glad that May took some of the blame because, you know, as much as May wants to put all the blame on Bishop, May does have some fault in this herself. Like, because if we go back to, what's his name, Daddy, you know, she was with him as well as Bishop was with her sister. So, you know, May cannot, you know, say Bishop is at fault, but you played a part in this as well. Like, you cheated on Bishop, Bishop cheated on you as well. So it's tit for tat at this point. And then Bishop on his way out of the house, you know, May says, if you need a friend to talk to Jesus. I died laughing when May said, talk to Jesus. Because I didn't expect for her to say talk to Jesus. I thought she would probably say, you can talk to me, just not in person. But she said, talk to Jesus. Oh my God, she is so shady. All right, you guys. And then lastly, we got Carissa. She is at the house and she's looking through the scrapbook of Zora and all that kind of stuff. And then Jacob comes in. And, you know, he asked Carissa about the little boy. She said she chucked him and all that kind of stuff. And she's talking about she didn't cook dinner and all that kind of stuff. He's like, I'm not worried about that. So he did ask Carissa, did she go over to Isaiah's parents' house? She says yes. And he asked her what happened. And, you know, she's like, my little girl is gone. I really do feel bad for Carissa because, you know, my heart went out to Carissa because she was really, really trying to beg and plead with Zora. But you cannot beg and plead with somebody that is as stubborn as Zora is. So like I said, I just really do feel bad for Carissa. I think Carissa is too soft on Zora. I will say that again. I think she's too soft on her. And I think that is allowing Zora to run over her and all that kind of stuff. Maybe once Carissa takes a firm stand on something, and Zora realizes that her mom is not going to change or budge, then that might wake her up just a little bit. And I think it actually woke Zora up when Carissa told her that that was her last time trying with her, because we did see Zora crying. I think that's what it is. Just give her some tough love and maybe she will come back around. Who knows? But that was Greenleaf. Like the video, leave your comments, and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you guys later tonight for How to Get Away with Murder, because this is actually Thursday that I'm recording it, but that's neither here nor there.